Chapter 5. Los Angeles, California. Thursday, 14th of February, 2013. At some distant period, as measured by centuries, the civilized races of man will almost certainly exterminate and replace the savage races throughout the world. Charles Darwin, 1809 to 1882. Dirk Peterson swung his silver Jaguar into the parking bay marked CEO. Today it was the Jag, tomorrow it could be his black Porsche, and he was toying with the idea of getting himself either an Aston Martin or a Lamborghini. Dirk, a bull of a man in his early 40s, uncurled his legs from the low-slung driving position and heaved his bulk out. 7:30 a.m. was the time he usually got into work, and the fresh, clear morning heralded yet another perfect Californian day. The only other vehicle in the SCR parking lot was a Ranchero belonging to his VP of R&D, Sanjay Dutt. Always first in and last out. He swaggered through the wide plate glass doors and onto the empty reception, with its pot plants and framed posters of cellular structures and DNA helixes. He wore a black polo shirt sporting SCR's logo, which was tucked into his tight jeans. With his overweight torso and thin hips, the man was a thrombosis on two legs. It was a modern ground-floor unit set in a landscaped business park. Whereas most of the new biotech companies in California were clustered around San Diego or in the Bay Area, SCR was in Orange County. Of his 42 staff, Dirk liked to boast that over 30 held science doctorates. Striding down the corridor, he could smell the coffee and saw Sanjay sitting at his desk in the lab. "Hiya, Sanjay, what's up?" Good morning, Dirk. Want to tell you about the seminars at UCLA yesterday.
So what's new over there?
Taking his seat, he swung his feet onto Sanjay's desk. Sanjay knew he did that deliberately to piss him off. As usual, he was wearing brown cowboy boots with patterned stitches. Although they mutually disliked each other, they both respected the other's brains and abilities. For the next 20 minutes, Sanjay ran through Aubrey de Grey's presentation and the Methuselah Prize. Dirk did not interrupt him.
So you're saying this Brit reckons the first 5-year-old mouse is at least 10 years away? Boy, that's a lifetime in our game.
But if we started this year, said Sanjay, some big names are behind the prize. Obama, Clinton.
Sounds too much to me like it's a winner-takes-all deal. He shifted in his seat and breathed in deeply. Our focus is genetics and its effect on diabetes. No prizes and less funding for a 5-year-old mouse that comes in second. Am I right or am I right, hombre?
Sanjay understood how Dirk's mind worked. Dirk respected confrontation, so Sanjay decided to fight fire with fire. Hell no, he replied. Sure, our market is diabetic research, but in the process we built up one of the largest DNA databanks in the United States. I've always told you this is the diamond in the coal mine. He could see Dirk thinking. SCR had access to millions of anonymous DNA records from the research it did for universities and the federal government. Come on, urged Sanjay. We can use it as a tool for this Methuselah Prize. In doing so, we'll grow our knowledge footprint and expand our intellectual property rights, even patent these new technologies. The word will get about. You could almost ask your price when you want to sell the company. Sanjay paused. If you treble the lifespan of a lousy mouse, you can quadruple, no quintuple, your asking price for this company. Investors will be queuing up outside your door for a cut of the business. He knew that Dirk's long-term goal, and long-term in biotech was 5 years, was to dress up the company for sale to one of the big pharma corporations or to float it on the NASDAQ.
Ha!
Snorted Dirk, swiveling his chair and staring out of the window. Sanjay was smart enough not to talk. Americans, he had soon discovered, were uncomfortable with long silences. If he knew Dirk well enough, he would be mulling over the idea, concocting a couple of reasons why it wouldn't work. He just had to be ready with a good answer or two.
Shit, Sanjay. Using other people's data for our own research is absolutely against our contracts. Our asses could be sued for that.
Correct. Leave that to you. His reply was deliberately terse. He knew that adherence to contractual T's and C's would be no barrier if Dirk could sniff gold on the far side of the rainbow.
Yeah, and we're stretched thin enough as it is already. We just don't have the resources. Sooner or later we'd get bogged down with all that FDA approval crap. Geez, we'll drown in the same tar pit as all the other dinosaurs.
Sanjay knew this was another red herring. FDA stuff we have to deal with anyways, he said. Changing up a gear, he added, Tell you what, Dirk, I can shoulder the extra work. Take it on as my pet project. You know I do the work of 3 as it is already. He pulled one of his joyless smiles. Dirk glowered back, knowing it was true. I'll need 2 storerooms to house the mice. That's not a problem. We have the space. I'll also want to hire 2 more lab techies, plus a guy I knew from Sanford. His name is Larry Brubaker. The guy's an AI genius. Knows IPL, LISP, prologue backwards. Sanjay noticed Dirk's piggy blue eyes burrowing into his. Good, he was listening. We need this expertise in-house. He'd make a big difference. Now, what do you value the company at today? 50 million? 55? Dirk shrugged.
65, maybe 75.
Okay, continued Sanjay. I calculate the extra cost of the Methuselah Prize would be no more than, say, $500,000 a year. Over 8 years, that's roughly 4 to 5 million. Agree? Dirk remained poker-faced. We get shortlisted and we file the patents, then the value of this company doubles to at least 150 million. Sanjay sat back in his chair. Seems a pretty good deal to me. Invest 5 million for a return of 75 later? He had deliberately kept the numbers conservative. Dirk was now leaning forward, his greedy mind computing the variables on the numbers that Sanjay had tossed at him. He knew that companies owning less intellectual property had been floated for a lot more.
Nah, think about it, mumbled Dirk.
They stared at each other for some moments. Sanjay did not know that he had always disconcerted his CEO. It wasn't the accent or the stutter. He'd got used to that. It wasn't that Sanjay was always fanatically tidy. That could always be explained away as a quirk. What really unsettled him was that Sanjay seemed to focus not on your eyes, but at some spot in the center of your head, as if he was reading your mind. 3 years ago, Dirk had done a security check on him. Nothing had turned up. Think about it was Sanjay's signal to press home his advantage. I'll talk to this guy at Stanford. I'll want your opinion about him first.
This artificial intelligence guru, said Dirk in his gravelly voice. How much will he cost me?
I didn't say he was a guru, replied Sanjay flatly. I said he was a genius. He can develop learning algorithms, hyperparameters, multidimensional complex models in his sleep. He's worked in the medical field on artificial neural networks, uncovering patterns and complex relationships from raw data, and that's what we need.
How much?
Dirk's tone was dry. He's on an academic salary now. Let's say, 200K?
Why not 180?
Okay, plus some options, so he's got some skin in the game.
I'll think about it, said Dirk for a second time.
Sanjay knew it was now the moment to withdraw and get Dirk out of his lab. The seed had been sown, and Dirk was a decisive man. He guessed that he'd probably made up his mind in the first 10 minutes and was just pushing back to fathom out just how committed Sanjay was to his idea. That was Dirk's style, abrasive, bullying, but he knew that behind the braggart was a smart and educated man who had a collection of contemporary art and sculpture. Must go to the bathroom, he said, getting up and leaving.
Okay, said Dirk, also standing up.
We'll talk tomorrow, was Sanjay's parting shot at the door. He had no misconceptions about his CEO. Dirk was Dirk, intelligent, ruthless, a businessman with the instincts of an alligator.
I said I'd think it over, he growled, staring after him and thinking. Slimeball snake. Just see the scales fall off him.